Gold jacket, green jacket, who gives you?
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Gold Jacket, Green Jacket podcast. We are here for episode number 35. My name is Christian Dragonetti, and I'm joined, as always, by my good friend and PJ professional, Mr. Joel Mitchell. Joel, mate, how you doing?
Very good, very good. And you?
Good, mate. A bit better now.
It must be there's going to be a full moon tonight, I reckon.
Yeah.
Because we're on our high horses today for some reason.
Absolutely.
I don't know what it was. I was very grouchy.
Yeah.
It might have been hungry.
Look,
I don't know. I don't know what it was. Might have been the weather.
oh, yeah, we haven't been like that with each other for a little bit.
We've almost started throwing hands at one point.
Almost.
It was back in the clubhouse and we almost punched on.
We're at Rosanna today.
Yeah.
Playing a bit of golf out there.
Which is a good thing is we can go straight into the most recent rounds.
Absolutely.
Which was
today,
an hour ago.
So, yeah, a couple of hours ago now.
Yeah.
I had 34 points playing off 7.
No, 6. No, you played off 6.
6. Even better. Okay. And you had...
I had 30 points playing off +5, so I had 1 over.
Sweet.
Yeah. So
Meh.
it just didn't really have anything. I was working on so myself and my coworker Marcus, he's now my coach basically. We didn't even really speak about it, but it's just sort of
It's a bit like you and I.
It just happened.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? He's sort of we're doing a practice session. He's gone into a lot of coaching now. And he sort of just adopted me, really.
Yeah.
Like, that's sort of what he's doing. And he's very knowledgeable and he knows me backwards. So it helps. And we've been recently working on creating a bit of width on my take back, particularly in short shots, like real chipping and sort of wedge shots. Creating that bit of width creates a bit of height, a bit of spin, right?
Yep.
Because as you know, I'm a flighted player.
Yep.
I like that. And I wanted a bit of height, especially on those tighter short shots anyway. And I've sort of pushed that into every other part of my game.
Yep.
You know what I mean? So that's what I was doing a lot of today. And like I missed a lot right today, which is what I wanted. It stops that flip. And so like myself and Marcus, we've been working on getting that flip, that bad left out of the way.
Yeah.
I had a couple shots today that went left, but other than that, creating that bit of width it sort of just got myself in that slot a bit more, gave myself a bit of room.
Yep.
And it stopped both misses. Now I can sort of control which one does what. So
Okay.
hopefully I don't think it looked much different.
I honestly didn't know it. Until you've said it now, I didn't notice the difference.
Like David knew it straight away. He sort of picked it, and probably because I told him about it.
Yeah.
So you can sort of notice it a bit more.
Honestly, you hadn't mentioned it to me at all on the golf course, and until now, I didn't even know you were trying to do it.
Yeah, no, it was just creating that little bit of width. It's probably a feeling more so than a visual thing. Like you probably might not be able to see it, but I can feel it. You know what I mean? So just working on that. There was some good in there, some good stuff.
Absolutely.
But other than that, it was a bit rainy and drizzly and the course is still trying to catch up back from coring and some weird weather we've had. So other than that,
it was actually in pretty good nick.
Yeah, it's behaving itself at the moment.
It's really,
it's nice and green and everything's manicured well and there's still coursework. So once that's all said and done and it's around clubbies, it should be looking pretty good.
I'm keen to get back out there and see what that fourth tee box is going to look like. That's going to be sick.
Yeah.
And even just 4 in general.
It's going to profile so much better.
Yeah, the whole has been completely redone. So
yeah,
it's going to be interesting.
Yeah.
But no, when it comes to
points,
I had 34 points and top end of the bag, bottom end of the bag were pretty good.
Yeah,
short games, pretty good. Putting was okay.
Yeah,
top of the bag.
Your putting was solid. It was just like not everything went in.
No,
but it doesn't have to putt well.
But having not played at Rosanna for a long time,
correct,
and being used to the concrete that I copped on Saturday, we had stroke metal on Saturday, and the ground staff just went fucking bang,
fuck you,
cop that,
cop that.
Punt on some asphalt for a change. It was just absolute roads. But you said it. You said it earlier, just while we were talking off camera. It has cemented and truly.
I don't think I've ever seen anything like it before. Like, do you know how you use something for so long? Like in everyday life, it might be a phone or a knife set or some sort of utensil, and you just use it so much where now it just doesn't work. It just flat out doesn't work, right? Like an old iPod Nano or something.
Yeah.
It just stops because it's been used.
Yep.
Right. With golf clubs, particularly with tour players or of a higher level players, they use maybe a putter for 30 years. Like Tiger, he used that 25, 30-year-old putter that still won majors, right? Or you see someone like Tony Finau using that Nike Vapor 2 iron.
Yeah.
Like that thing's old as fuck. That's 15 years
Henrik
old.
Stenson's 3-wood.
Exactly. And like those things are used so much and so often by players that smoke it but it still works perfectly.
Yes.
And so I didn't believe the term these now don't work, except for wedges. That's a thing.
Yeah.
Wedges where they wear out. But with irons in particular,
It's more like
things just don't stop working. Things just don't wear out, especially with something that's steel and metal and something so strong and dense. And now I'm like, especially today, like you're hitting some shots, I'm just like, he's hit that pretty good, and that's gone fucking nowhere. Like it was like you're hitting plastic, or your ball was deflated, or something like that. Like you hit a couple good ones.
And to be fair, there was a lot of rubbish in there. I'm also, that was 50% of it was, okay, I know that they're not performing, so I'm trying to put a swing on it so they can perform. And then I go the other way and end up sculling it or just something. Fucking it completely. Or something.
Yeah,
right?
like look, what I noticed the most was I don't think the irons will still perform, but just not with you anymore.
No.
You're just not compatible anymore.
Correct.
I think that's all it is. And
Correct.
like it might be compatible with someone else and they might stripe it or something.
Yep.
But yeah, it's just it's the end of an era, really. Like they're 6 years old.
It definitely is.
They're 6 years old and
You're not quite, but
not
they're
pushing,
pretty close.
Yeah, knocking on the door and yeah, the time's up.
I'm such a different player now.
Time's up. Yeah.
Time is 100% up. And but no, just to finish off today's, I was reasonably happy with how the round went and how it finished as well.
Especially after the first 6 holes, I'm like,
honestly, I was walking. We played with a mate of mine, Tom, today.
Yeah.
And walking up 6, the par 3, and I said it to you as well. I cannot believe how out of love I've fallen with those irons.
Just in the last like 3 weeks too.
Yeah.
3-4 weeks.
And
maybe longer, but
yeah, just in the last 4 to 5 weeks, I just can't believe how I went from being, it was the best part of my game. My iron striking, my ball play, like everything with like that set of sticks was so consistent, so useful and just unreal to now I'm like, get me something else.
Get me out of these things.
And it's a swift movement to that topic because you can take that contract down, my friend.
You can rip that up. You can do the honors.
I'll rip it
Go
up.
for it. Yeah.
It's gone. It's gone.
So what we've done here is, well, that contract now doesn't mean anything.
Doesn't exist.
It lasted nowhere
3 weeks.
near as long as I thought.
Lasted 3 weeks.
Was it 3 weeks?
2, maybe 2.
2? I reckon that was 2 weeks, and that I'm like, wow. Kind of like going, okay, nah, he's going to do it for real.
Yeah.
Like the way you said it last week or the week before, I'm like, nah, this is the
when
real
you
deal.
said you gave me 12 months,
yeah.
and we'll get to the story in a moment, ladies and gents, but when you said you gave me 12 months, I'm like, I'll have them by the end of the month.
Yeah, that's facts. Yeah, he goes, I'll have him by Christmas. I'm like, nah, he won't. I'm like, he's gonna go shopping. He's gonna.
And now having seen, so we went out and had a hit last Thursday as well with Short Game Mike.
Yeah.
And today you've seen me hit him twice since that episode dropped. Now you can see, okay, no, definitely the end of the year.
Like I said, there's nothing wrong with the iron, nor is there nothing wrong with how you're striking it because like you said, both ends of the bag are pretty good. Like you're hitting your long wood, you're hitting your woods really well. That 2 iron still behaves. The wedges are, they're on their last third of their life, I think, but not the point. You're still hitting the rest of that good. It's just the stuff in between that's not behaving. So
and
the compatibility is completely gone.
It's not only that, but it's by such a long way. If they were misbehaving, like just misbehaving a little bit, like it was a weak point of the game.
Yeah.
You're never going to question the equipment.
Nah, a little swing tweak.
Yeah, correct. You just go, I'm just not hitting my irons that good at the moment because, I got this feeling it doesn't work, right?
Correct.
Everything else is really solid.
Yeah.
That is horrible.
It was pretty poor. Like we even saw a silver bird today. Saw a good one too. It was a good one. It came out a little flat for my liking. I would have liked a bit more height.
It was boomerang-esque.
Yeah, it was.
But and the decision was after it releases, do I actually go pick it up or do I just leave it there?
You wanted to. You're like, nah, fuck it. I'm not
Just
picking
leave
it
it
up.
there.
And then I saw you going in your head, like walking down, going, nah, I gotta go grab it.
Because you know what? We're walking. It happened on 6. Like it just wasn't great.
Yeah.
6 plays up one way and then 7 comes back straight past. And I'm like, well, I'll just leave it there and I'll just pick it up as we're walking on 7.
Yeah, but we'll forget.
And I'm just like, I'll forget. And I don't want to leave here without an 8 iron.
For you to have, even on 7, we had a Rosal Hocket. But even after that, like you just pulled your socks up, really.
Yeah.
You sort of just put your head down and made it happen. But the rest of the game was solid.
But yes, so the contract has been torn up.
Contract is gone.
And that is because
yes,
I have placed an order
yes,
on a new set of irons.
yes.
I mentioned a couple of weeks ago that I reached out to Toby at Link's Legacy, and he reached back out to me a few days ago, mid last week.
Yeah.
Shortly after, actually the day we recorded last week's episode. So last Monday he reached out that night.
Yeah.
Said, hey mate, are you available this week?
Yeah.
I got a spot. And I was like, sweet. What day, what time? Tell me I'm there. So it ended up being last Friday. Went down to the Golf Lounge where Link's Legacy is based out of currently. They're in the process of moving, or they have moved.
They're not going to disclose that just yet. Once they've sort of set up their new location, wherever that may be.
Yeah.
That's when they'll open shop, and good luck to them.
That's all I heard.
Yeah,
I heard
from whatever they do from
they
there.
are in the Golf Lounge. They're not going to be for much longer.
Yeah, wherever they go from there, well, we'll
Awesome.
see. We'll see.
Awesome.
So-
And I had the fitting with a young bloke by the name of Liam,
Yeah.
who has been fitting for a long time, he reckons, a few years, and more so with Mizuno recently.
Good.
And we had a Mizuno fitting.
Yeah.
Told him what I wanted, told him what I thought I needed.
Yeah. Long story short,
have ended up in the same heads, funnily enough, which is
2 newer though.
2 generations newer,
Yeah,
not the exact same heads. I'm not
Yeah.
pulling shafts out of mine and putting new ones in. That's not happening.
No.
So I'm into the Mizuno JPX 923 tours. And we've gone 5 grams lighter in the shaft,
Yeah,
which is very similar to what you did with your T100s this year.
And it's probably a slightly different
It's a different shaft
in terms
altogether.
of slightly different word of the day profiling, but it's also there's probably was there a tiny bit different kick point in those
Yes,
shafts
there's
as
a different
well?
kick point.
There is a different kick point.
So
is it slightly lower?
I think so.
Okay.
I think so. I'm moving from a Project X LZ in a stiff shaft, 120 grams, to a Nippon NS Pro stiff shaft, 115 grams. I didn't know this at the time, but when Liam sussed what I had in the bag and had a look at it, and he goes, this is low launch, low spin shafts. And I'm like, that's okay, fair enough. I thought it was sort of run of the mill, middle of everything type thing. He's like, no. Now it's not.
Yeah.
It was when it probably came out.
Does that make sense why I've went to the dynamic goals now and you've seen the different flight? It's
Yeah.
because I use those Project X as well.
Yeah.
Those Project X are for probably a higher ball speed, higher spin rate sort of player.
Yeah.
And I wasn't necessarily high club head speed, but I had a high spin rate.
Yep.
So that's why I went to them, just so I'd knock it down a little bit.
And I remember when in my last Mizuno fitting with my current set before the new ones, I tried the Nippon NS Pros. I didn't like them.
Yeah, you didn't like
Didn't like them at all. It's just I think they were because Mizuno have got this technology where it's like a 7-iron. It's got this little blue casing on it. It's got like a little bit of a reader on it. It's got like it looks like it's got like a little box on the shaft.
Oh, okay.
And that's just a little sensor that reads club technology, like club tracking, right? Yeah. And that determines like what, and it just spits out a number of shafts that might be suited to swing speed
based off whatever,
based on what this sensor
what
is
that
picking
produces.
up.
Yeah.
And the Nippon, the ones we picked, I think were number 4 out of the 10 that it spat out.
It doesn't rank them in order, does it?
No, it does.
It does?
It does. They go based on how you're swinging it. This shaft is the number one, the best that we recommend.
Yeah.
And I think it was a KBS S taper. Okay. Was number 1. Tried it, liked it, was like, nothing special.
Yeah, give me something.
Let's try something else.
Yeah.
And then it was straight into the Nippon 105 in an S.
Yeah.
And I'm like, this is too flippy, too whippy. And he goes, all right, let's go 115. And that was number 4. And that was the one.
That was it.
But again, the Project X LZs that I've currently got were number 8, which is exactly where they were in the last fitting that I had 5 years ago.
Interesting.
So it's still thought that they would be a good shaft, just not as good.
Just not quite there. Yeah. Okay.
So I ended up doing the entire fitting in a different head to what I actually went for. In the end.
Yeah.
I did it all in the Mizuno Pro 243, which based on what Liam had said, and he used to be Titleist affiliate as well. So he goes, this is the closest thing to a T100 you're going to get.
That's exactly that's exactly how it looks as well.
Right.
Yeah.
So essentially did a fitting in that, the whole thing. We nutted out shafts, everything in that head.
Yeah.
And then at the last minute, we did two things. I said to him, I wanted to try the 241s, which is the blades. And that was more so just to go, don't want these.
Yeah.
Just to leave my curiosity, to kill it.
Yeah.
Kill my curiosity. Did that, hit 3 balls. The first 2 I flushed. The third one came out of the toe and went nowhere. I'm like, sweet, take it off. Thank you very much. I've seen enough.
Yeah.
And then he goes, well, now I want to do something. I want to put you in the same heads that you've currently got, just the newer model.
Yeah, of
And I was
course.
like, sweet. I hit maybe 25 balls with him.
Yeah.
And he goes, forget that 243.
Yeah.
That's the one.
Yeah. So that's interesting because, like you said that you had. So here's the thing about fittings. You said that you were having a good swinging day, which always helps. That's what you want out of a fitting. You want to be hitting it good.
Yep.
So you can get the best thing that's catered for your best swinging.
Because you and I had a pretty lengthy phone call.
We
on the
did.
drive home.
It would have been
Half hour, 40 minutes.
easily and change maybe, and it was just purely a discussion to. My whole plan for that whole phone call was to make sure you knew what you wanted.
Yep.
And the whole time in my head, it still hasn't changed. I still would love that tiny bit extra forgiveness out of that 243.
Yeah.
But the heart wants what the heart wants. And of course, I wasn't at that fitting.
No.
So I don't know actually how good you were hitting those other ones.
And I said to you on the phone that, yes, I did have a good swinging day.
Which helps, yeah.
But I also hit enough skunky shit out
Exactly.
there to go.
Exactly.
And
To know.
to know exactly what I'm going to
know.
get.
So that's why when you said you wanted the tours, which is the ones you've already gone for, which are the same head now but newer, you said they were the ones. And my only concern was, okay, but you wanted more forgiveness, which is what you would have got out of the pros. However, like you said, you hit enough skunky shit, so you knew. So that's what I was trying to make sure you knew what you were fucking talking about.
And I think,
making
correct.
sure you were making the right decision, which I think you did.
Yeah, I think so too.
I think you did.
And forgiveness is such a broad term. I just want to rattle this off quickly because after we had that conversation, I actually thought about it because I was in the car for another 10 minutes after I hung up with you. I actually thought about it. I turned the radio off, everything, just in silence, and I just got into my thoughts about it. Forgiveness is such a broad term. What I learned in that fitting today, or last Friday, sorry, was that my current irons that I've had for the last 5 years produce no more spin. There's just none, zero. On TrackMan, it was hovering around that 4.5 with
a 7 iron.
which, if you want a bit of reference, generally, whatever number is on the bottom of the club, you want that times 1,000 minus 1,000.
with all else equal.
Right, yeah.
Yeah.
So roughly for a 7 iron, you want 6,000 spin.
So for
Roughly,
anywhere
give
from
or take.
anywhere from 5,800 to 6,400 is that sweet spot.
Right.
Yeah.
So I'm getting 41 or 42 with my current set.
That's 5 iron stuff.
Correct.
Yeah.
With a 7 iron, which is not good. And he goes, mate, everything else, like with the angle of attack, like how steep I was coming down on it, the club path, everything else screams 59, 60. Like 5,9, 6,000.
Yeah,
like
good.
With any other set.
Yeah, good. It just wasn't doing
It just wasn't them.
Well, that's
And
also the
that's
shaft as well.
That's the shaft.
Yeah.
And I asked Liam, I said, look, I think I need more forgiveness, da, 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 da. And then once I started hitting my own, he goes, no, you just need more spin. Spin keeps it up in the air longer. It's going to fly further.
It does.
All that kind of stuff. And he's like, I don't think your ball striking's that bad.
No, it's not.
In the sense that you need forgiveness out of the toe. He's like, all right, you hit an off-centered strike like you could do with any iron.
Yeah.
And forgiveness isn't going to automatically hit it the same as if you hit it out of the middle.
No.
Right? No. What I needed out of that fitting is what I got, which was more spin.
Yeah.
So we ended up
slightly softer shaft.
Slightly softer shaft.
And new heads.
New heads, right? And you'd imagine I have to look into the two heads online and try and see what they offer, if there's any differences. But I'm not certain, but I'm quite happy to assume that there would be greater technology in the newer
of course,
ones
the R&D is always there.
That might spell out a bit more forgiveness.
There's always R&D as to how to make a tour iron that profiles like a tour iron, responds like a tour iron, but also the mishits behave like a hybrid. You know what I mean? There's always R&D as to how they can make that possible in an iron that looks amazing and not this big chunky thing.
Yeah.
So, like, every brand has done that.
Correct.
Every brand has figured out how to do that and made an iron as close to that as possible. Some are different, some are good, some aren't as good, but every company's done that and put their own twist on it. So hopefully that's what Mizuno's done with
Correct.
that tour.
I'm hoping so.
Yeah,
I'm hoping so.
yeah.
But one thing you had said on that phone call was, why don't you try and get back into the simulator with Liam or Tobes or whoever and just put them head to head against each other, literally, right? And just go make your decision. Like, don't buy anything just yet. Just go and make your decision. And I messaged Toby and asked, I'm like, what's the possibility of this happening? And he goes, mate, honestly, there's no need. He goes, you're not going to notice a difference.
Yeah.
He goes, they play the
That's
exact
exactly
same.
what he told me.
He goes,
That's
they play
exactly
the
what he
exact same.
Yeah.
He goes, it's basically having two different versions that both got T100 written on them. Like, what's the difference? You know what I mean?
Pretty much.
That's
what he told me as well, because he called me going, because he wanted to know what you were saying to me, saying like what you thought.
Yeah, because he knew exactly that I was going to call you straight away.
Exactly. So it was like this 3-way like orgy thing that was just that sort of just went around in circles.
Chinese whispers.
I was like, he called me, then I called Drags called me back, you called Toby. Like it was all just and it was just trying to dumb it down to okay, what are we going to do for you? Basically, that's what we're trying to all determine. And he asked me, what's Drag actually think? Because like he was hoping you weren't going to sugarcoat it for him.
No.
So which he probably wouldn't.
I wouldn't. With Tobes, I would never.
Absolutely.
I'd more than happily go to Toby and say, this is shit.
Or something, whatever it may be. Or these are amazing, whatever they may be. But like he wanted to ask me, and because I would give it straight to him as well. He goes, no, be honest. What do you think? What is he going to do? What's the decision he made? What has he told you? And everything I told him, you told me already. So it was already, it all went around in circles and complemented each other. And so when you said to me, oh, I'm going to go back there and go compare him, or I suggested maybe go back and compare him, I'm sort of thinking in my head, it'd be a great idea because he's a mate. Surely, there's no issues. There's no issues jumping back in there and having it here for 15 minutes. And then he calls, he goes, mate, there's no point. You're wasting your time. He goes, they're going to respond the same. The other one might feel a poof-nth difference. I shouldn't use that word. Speech difference.
Yeah, the way he said it, right, to me was, you won't notice a difference.
Yeah.
Luke Donald.
Yeah, will.
Right? Like, me being a 6 or 7 handicapper will, but a major, like, won't,
Hey, 6 handicap slapper.
Pardon me. Right? How could I dare? But no, a major champion will notice those differences.
Yeah.
That's
because
how,
they're supposed to.
Because they're supposed to. And that's how fine the margins are.
Dude, Rory McIlroy can tell the difference between tapes under his grips.
Yeah, correct.
That's like the level of...
and while we're on the story, I once heard a story, and I don't know how true this is, but it was back in the days of when you couldn't just unscrew a head in a fitting and just whack a new shaft in and whatever. This is back when, like, if you wanted to go for a fitting, there was a 7-iron built in every spec with every different shaft that was available in it.
Yeah.
And they just hand you the different ones.
Okay.
Right? Yeah. So there's like 15 different 7-irons and they've all got a different shaft in them.
Yeah.
Because you couldn't just unscrew the head.
Yeah.
So apparently back when Nike were making his clubs, they gave one to Tiger and for a fitting and said, here, hit this. And he goes, yep, sweet, no worries. Hit, I don't know, 60 balls with it. And he goes, it's half a degree. It's half a degree out in terms of loft. It's half a degree higher lofted than it should be. Yeah. They go, what? He's like, well, what do you want it to be? He's like, it needs to be 34 and a half.
Yeah,
and it's 34.
Yeah.
And then they go, come on. Like how
yeah, come on, mate.
And keep in mind, this is no TrackMan, no bullshit, no nothing. He's doing this all by sight. He goes, it's half degree out. And they put it in the loft and lie machine. Sure enough, it was half degree.
He was right. That's like...
I do not know how true that story is.
I believe that.
Because it's Tiger.
I've never heard that story before. If it is true, like... That's the thing. That's like you see that clip on that I've seen plenty of times on Instagram or something like that where Steph Curry's dribbling under the ring and he's going through his legs.
Yeah.
And he it goes through his legs and it like doesn't reach his hand. And instead of going, oh, he missed his hand, he looks at the basketball court as if there was something wrong with the basketball shot. Surely enough, there was a dead spot. Like with those athletes,
they're
and
so
when
fine-tuned.
you're so fine tuned and so for lack of a better term, perfect at what they do. It's like so
dialed.
unbelievably good at what they do.
Yeah.
Their brain is so trained to know the slightest difference. So when he sees that ball flight, he goes, nah, that's not it. He goes, there's this much, but it's enough for him to go, nah, it's not it.
So yeah,
as good as it might be.
To sum it up, I'm not going to notice the difference between the 243 and the tour heads. So I've gone the tour heads. No. They're ordered. Hopefully Toby's ordered them today.
Yeah.
And fingers crossed I have them by the end of the week.
And like when I was a lot younger and not knowing what I do sort of now and not being exposed to the equipment and stuff like this now or the level of golf or whatever, I didn't notice the difference in anything. I couldn't tell the difference between shafts. I didn't know what they were, but now I could tell you the different shafts. If you gave me a shaft and go, right, hit that, what do you think it is? I'll be able to give you
an idea,
something to this. I wouldn't be able to give you it's this spec with this number with this. Like I'd be able to know roughly.
It was the best time of my golf learning was the year and a half or so that I just demoed everything on the market when I was looking for what his current set of irons. I had a year and a half and I just, like I said, tried everything. Heads, brands, manufacturers, shafts, everything. And I learned so much about all of it. But fast forward 5 years later, I said it in a couple of episodes a couple of weeks ago. I know nothing now about what's on the market. There's been no need.
Too fast.
There's been no need.
Yeah.
Because I've had a good bag and
you've had a good run.
Had a good run. But the question then comes: do I want to sell them or do I want to keep them? I'm leaning towards keeping them at the moment. I did have a hole in one with that set of clubs. I'm kind of thinking of putting them right
it's
here.
It's almost like a first love again.
It is
sort
a first
of thing.
love.
Like his first fitted set.
Yeah.
Like
first set of Mizzies.
Got you into it. It's done. It's honestly your first everything, really.
It's ignited the passion for this sport.
First hole in one, first comp win, first under par round.
Yeah.
First break 80 round.
I sold. So I had a TaylorMade Spider that I had with my first under par round. And I sold it. And I realised that on the drive home, I'm like, fuck, I should have kept that putter.
Kept that, yeah.
Oh, well, it's gone now.
It is gone now. But the one thing, so you brought up a topic earlier.
Yes.
And it backs on getting new stuff.
Yeah.
It backs on getting new stuff. And I think everyone listening, especially the club golfer.
No, I don't even think the club. Yes, the club golfer, but also your new golfers.
That's what
beginners,
I mean. Everyone that's
that isn't a tour player.
Let's just say everyone that's just wanting to get a bit better
Yeah.
in some way without going over the top with, or not over the top, but with all these crazy training schedules and nutritions and conditioning programs and stuff like that, without being that tour level golfer.
Absolutely.
Of what they do, because that's a full-time job sort of thing. So if you want to just do bits and pieces throughout the week, that actually makes you better. You don't have to hit 200 balls a day and go do 3 hours of chipping and putting. But particularly with you getting new irons, like how to actually practice properly in order to not just step up on a Saturday morning at 8:30 going, fuck knows where this is going to go.
Yeah.
Like you can actually resort back to something. So,
and topics like this are exactly what I wanted this podcast to be, because we've got the spectrum of someone of your caliber who's playing multiple times a week, trying to make a career out of your golf game, versus someone
two missed Q scores isn't looking.
No, hey, you're 22 years of age, brother. Relax. Versus someone like myself who's a little bit older, not quite as low a handicap as you, doesn't play as often, and works full time, right?
Yeah.
But then it also can apply to other people as well, because we can tailor it.
I actually, in terms of this practice, I got asked today. So when we finished our round, like I did get very frustrated on 12 today. I was very, very pissed off with that because I put myself in an ordinary spot and didn't execute a good third shot, and it just crumbled from there. I lost a little bit of interest while I was in the upslope of faced in a bunker like this, and
it was not fun.
It wasn't good. Anyway, so I was a bit pissed off, and then for the 30 seconds, I'm just like, all right, calm down. You can make birdies coming in. You're fine. You can get all these back. And sure enough, a birdie the next hole, not beautiful, right?
I noticed you had a minute to yourself there.
Yeah. You just got to have that 30 seconds, and after that I was fine. Honestly, I was fine. Not a drive, make a good up and down for birdie, beautiful. But so coming off the golf course, I was a little bit like, that wasn't anything great, but I was still working on a feeling. Like I wasn't too bothered with the result. The better the result, the better I was going to feel about it. But I was still working on a feeling, and that's all I was looking for. Right? So coming off the golf course, wasn't too happy, but one of the members was walking out of the pro shop. His name's Nick, and he, I think, plays off low 30s. So high 20s, low 30s, something like that. Around that 30 mark. And he asked me, how'd you go? Any course records? I'm like, no, mate, not even close. But I had a bit of fun, though. You know? Had a bit of fun, some good, some bad, right? And he goes, what'd you have? I'm like, one over par. So 30 points, nothing like, not really anything close to it. Felt like I had 100.
Yeah.
That's sort of what it felt like. And he's like, oh, man, that's everyone's. He goes, that's every person's dream here. Right? And I'm like, that's awesome. Like, I didn't really think much of it. Like,
no.
And he goes, how do you practice for that? Like, how do you play so poorly but shoot only
Good
one
scores.
over? And to him, that's like a miracle.
Yeah.
Like he's cheated to have one over.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So he's asking me, what do I need to do? And I'm like, well, he gets a lesson a fortnight, I think. He's down there probably 2 days a week and plays another comp round. So he's there. He's often
there a
enough.
lot.
He's there often enough, right, to sort of start to improve. And yeah, he's new to it. He's probably only been playing 18 months, right, which is not
It'll
long at all.
happen.
It'll come for him. But starting off with really bad habits and trying to massage that out is really difficult. But all I really told him, I said, mate, and he was holding his putter, which is a good start. Going up to the putting green, I said, mate, chipping and putting, eliminate that huge number. And he goes, yeah, but that's not fun. I said, okay, do you want to have fun or improve?
Yeah.
Which one do you want? Right? He goes, both. I said, can't have both. Improve or have fun. Right? I said, because if you bust your balls to improve, it will then be fun.
100%.
I said, you can't have fun and take the piss a little bit and just not really care about the result and then improve. It doesn't really work like that. And if it does, well, hats off to you.
Absolutely.
You've gotten lucky, right?
Yeah.
But so all I really summed up for him, I said, mate, you need to, one, go see your coach, ask Tim. Like if you're going for a lesson, you're going for a lesson. You know, he's not going to then write down a whole training schedule, a whole fucking practice session schedule. He's not going to do that because that's not what you're there for. If you ask him, he'll tell you. He will. He'll nut out that 10 minutes to write out, this is what you need to do now, then tomorrow, next week, do this in a month, blah, blah, blah. He's going to write it out for you and he will put you down the right path. And as long as you follow it and be patient, 6 months later, you're a different person.
Absolutely.
Right? So I told him chipping and putting, right? Because he said he has 40 plus putts per round without fail. Like he said he goes, oh, I don't often have much trouble getting there. Like there's a lot of par fours that I'm on in 2 and walk off with 6. And I'm like, right, so what are you doing carrying range balls? What are you doing hitting range balls? Why are you hitting driver? Like, I never see you up on the putting green, mate. And he goes, yeah. And like he said, that backs onto the fact that he said it's not fun. It's not fun practicing chipping and putting. I said, I understand that. It can be boring. Standing there hitting 55 footers. I understand that. Yeah, it can be boring as batshit. But as long as you're motivated enough and understand what that's actually going to do for you. And that's what I told him. I said, mate, if you're hitting this putt, you're using this putter 4 to 5 times more than your driver, yet you're practicing driver 4 to 5 times more
Than your putter.
I said it doesn't. See how it doesn't match up.
It's the common misconception in the game. Like everyone and driving ranges are horrible for this.
Yeah.
They just give people the idea that this is what you need to practice. It's a big paddock. I just need to go and hit the back fence.
Yeah. Yeah, correct.
Right?
Correct.
I cannot stress this enough. The more and more I've played golf, the more and more I've grown to hate driving ranges.
Yeah, so I don't if unless there's something drastically wrong and you can understand what you need to then go work on, the less balls you'll hit. Because I find if you hit a 2 balls a minute sort of thing.
That's a lot.
Which is a lot. Get 60 balls at the driving range and you should be there for 30 minutes to 45 minutes.
Yeah.
It should take you to hit those balls. And sometimes it takes people
15 minutes.
half an hour to hit 120 balls. And then you step up on Saturday and oof, it's going sideways. And you have no idea what you're doing.
And you're sore.
And you're tired, man. You're busted after hitting that many balls. And that's what I told him. I said, mate, figure out. I said, go chipping and putting. Go figure it out. I said, as bad as it might be or as
boring,
unenjoyable as it might be, that's what you've got your coach for, mate. Don't go and try and stripe 7 irons.
Yeah.
Like if you say you hit it good
that's
enough.
the thing. If I was telling him, if I was giving him any advice, it would be, hey, the next 2 lessons with Tim, no irons, no wedges,
nothing.
just wedges and putter.
Nothing. I find the best practice is you go to the range and get a swing and go hit your 20 or 30 balls. That's all you need, honestly. Get a swing, get the blood flow going. Then you go chipping and putting greens, start experimenting with some shots. Obviously dial in your stock shot that gets you out of the most trouble. Then start playing with some shots, start figuring out how the club works, how the ball responds. Then go putt, figure out your stroke, get the speeds right, make sure everything's like everything visually is then responding how that looks.
Yeah.
Which is a weird thing because you could feel like you're aiming way left, but you're missing everything right. Like dial in the visual.
And then go play 5 or 6 holes.
And then go out on course. Go first, step 1, hit the fairway. That's step 1. You've only hit 1 shot. And then around the green, play around the greens.
Yeah.
Figure out how to make up and downs or not make 8 or 9
Yeah.
around that green when you're stuck in a bunker.
There's nothing wrong with
Like-
hitting 2 or 3 balls on every hole.
No,
as long as you're not holding people up behind you.
Correct. Within reason.
Within reason. If you if you're having a putt on a green because you're finishing the hole, turn around and look behind you. There's the group behind you's on the tee box.
Yep.
All right, drop another couple of balls, hit a couple more putts.
Yeah.
What does this putt do? What does that putt do?
correct.
That's all well and good if you're a member at a club
Yeah,
somewhere
correct,
or you've got
correct.
access to those facilities. Yeah, 100%. Go and hit a couple of balls on the range just for blood flow. Don't worry about fixing anything.
Yeah.
Go chip and putt, go play holes. That's literally what our Thursday nights look like with me and Short Game Mike.
Yeah.
It's the same.
And your short games have gone through the roof. Like even playing the other night, even short game Mick, he's still got some stuff to work on that we've worked on with him that that we're talking about that he's trying to observe from myself and you as well. And it's
exponentially better than what it was.
It is 100 times better than when we first started with him, and so is yours. Even your shots today, like I reckon you only stuffed up one really on 14.
Thin that one.
You just knifed it, but that was about it. Everything else,
you should have seen the lie I had. It was gross.
Was it rotten? Was it?
It was a piece of. It was an area of turf where it was like it looked like it had been rippled.
Oh, really?
It's like it honestly looked like it was wavy like this, but the waves were like that far apart.
Tire tracks?
Yeah, no,
Not tread?
no,
It was just a bit scraping.
just gross,
Just scraping.
Yeah, it's almost looked like someone had gone with like a big metal rake and just gone like that,
Oh, really?
pulled it straight through.
Weird.
It was so weird.
Yeah. Anyway, that was other than that, everything else was pretty good. Like I was actually very impressed. There was a lot of times that you'd chili dip it a couple feet in front of you, or you'd hit one too hard, or something like that. You're really dialed in, which is good to see because it means you've actually been putting your head down with it. It's actually been working on it,
Fucking oath.
and like you don't need to.
And it's starting to pay off. Like
Exactly.
that's the thing. It's like all that hard work you're starting to pay off, but that's one way to practice, right?
Correct.
What about if someone who, I don't know, might not be able to get to a golf course during daylight hours because they work a 9 to 5 or whatever it might be. So if you're only restricted to a driving range then, for example,
Yeah.
right? There's nothing wrong with that.
No.
Number one, I hate driving ranges. That's me personally. I've spent so much time at them throughout the years. I've spent more money. I'm putting this out there now. Right? I'm going to say this. This is going to open some eyes. Right? I've spent more money at driving ranges in my life than I have on my mortgage.
No fucking way.
100%. Easy.
You dead ass?
Probably.
Holy shit.
Easy. I've only had my home for a couple of years, but it'd be pretty close.
Fuck.
Yeah, I've spent my time at driving ranges. I was there 2-3 times a week, especially when I first joined Berg. 2-3 times a week,
I know shit.
20
No shit.
$20 a go. Maybe not quite. Like it's a lot of cash, but I've spent so much money at driving.
I reckon
ranges.
no shit. I'd be lucky to have hit the $1,000 mark.
Really? I reckon I've cleared it. I was exaggerating before when I've said I've spent more money than my mortgage.
Of course, that's why it literally opened my eyes.
Yeah.
I'm like,
but no,
what?
I've spent so much money at driving ranges. It's ridiculous for nothing.
It doesn't.
It's not for nothing. I've done a lot of improving in the 5 or 6 years, but right, if I had known that I could have just gone and chipped and putted, hit a couple of balls on the range and then played a few holes and got the same out.
You know the cliche saying, I flush it on the range and suck on the golf course.
Yeah.
It is
We all have a couple of mates.
99% of players, I reckon, they grab their 30 balls before their round and stripe it. And then they get out there and they push cut it onto the road. Right? One of it is a mental barrier. You're hitting out doing it to a paddock, there's no consequences because if you fuck up that shot, you've got one right sitting next to you that you can go hit again. Right? So that's almost like the provisional, but not the point. Then you step up onto that first tee and you get a bit guidey and steery and chip, try and push it out onto that fairway. That's another thing of why you need to practice. Because, it's always good to hit those 20 balls. But if you were to go out and practice and play those holes and figure out how to score and understand how it feels to try and shape it off the tee or get one in play somehow, you're not going to push cut it onto the road.
And that's why I've said it before to a few of the boys at the club. The best driving range in the world, in my opinion, is the top range at Heidelberg because it's a fairway wide.
It is wide.
It's one fairway wide.
It's
not a paddock.
It's pretty thin actually.
I reckon I'm not sure if it was, but I reckon back in the day it used to be a hole
Might have been.
that they've just converted into a driving range because
Might
it
have been the
doesn't
old
play.
10s or something,
Maybe
I don't
it could have been the old 10, but it's literally a fairway wide.
Yeah.
So like if you're hitting balls down that fairway, you've only got certain point like a certain point to miss to. Whereas out in a paddock at a general public driving range.
You mean the idea of the range is the best range in the world?
Yeah, correct.
Yeah, fairway wide. Yeah, I like it.
Right.
Yeah, I don't mind it. Yeah.
But if you've only got that sort of hour and a half every week, pardon me, to go to a driving range and practice, the best way, in my opinion, to do it, get yourself 100 balls, 90 balls, whatever it might be, and you got to break it up.
Oh,
Right?
yeah,
if you can
absolutely.
find a driving range that's got top tracer, even better.
Yeah.
Even better.
Yeah.
The first 5-10 minutes, you're just warming up with a wedge, whatever you normally do, chip, whatever, pitch, however far you want to hit it. A good little drill for that is chip your first ball out there short, maybe 5 meters, and then every ball after that just gets progressively longer.
Yeah.
You can't hit your next shot shorter than your one before that, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it's sort of like distance control.
Correct.
Yeah.
And then you can move on and we'll spend the next sort of chunk of balls, maybe 30 to 40 balls, doing something that you're working on.
Yeah,
so if you're trying to, shallow out the club path and come from inside, that's fine. We'll spend 40 balls doing that.
Yeah.
After that, you've got what, maybe 50 balls left, 60 balls left.
Yeah.
If you've got top tracer there and you want to load up a golf course and play the golf course on that, do that.
Yeah.
The last half or the last quarter of your practice session at a driving range should be fun.
Yeah.
Pull
yeah,
driver out,
Yeah.
hit your 3-wood, tee up a lob wedge and try and thin it and just have fun with it, right? Just have fun with it. Muck around with your mates, whatever it might be, right? Try and hit stingers into car windows if there's a car out on the middle of the range, whatever it might be, right? But have that element before that of genuine working on a movement that you're trying to implement into your game or a new thing that you're learning.
So I hear a lot of when go out and play, and particularly if I do have this conversation with someone, if they say what they're practicing or something like that, they go to their range, and I kind of don't like the term when you say that you warm up with wedges. Like, you obviously don't want to go out there and start pumping driver.
No,
that's not a thing. You're gonna obviously work on you're obviously going to start with that.
It's a
warmer
broad
shots.
term, but
Of course.
I'm not going to pull out a 7-iron and swing my 7-iron first swing of the day.
No. So that in terms of just getting the blood pumping and stuff like that, perfect. But in terms of like just warming up, how often do you hear someone like come off the golf course and go, far out, there was four of those irons or 4 of my long clubs I didn't even hit today. They hit driver 3-wood and then everything from 8-iron down. And yet I see too often those exact players at driving ranges and they'll hit 360 degrees, 3 pitch and wedges, and everything else is from 7-iron upwards.
Yeah.
Right? They're working on stuff that is still relevant within the round of golf, but they're not using
And I'm not saying
nowhere near as much as something that's inside 100 meters. And you hear tour pros all the time. You hear John Daly say it, chip and putting, chipping and putting. You hear all those guys at the top level. This is for people that want to improve, of course. You hear them all say the scoring shots are everything inside 120 meters. And you hit driver 12 times in a round.
Yeah.
Maybe less, sometimes less if you hit 9s off the tee on a dangerous hole. Or how often do you hit 3-wood? Like I hit 3-wood twice today.
8 at once.
Like there was so many irons. There was so many irons today that I didn't hit. Whereas I hit every single one of my wedges at least 3 or 4 times. And that's the stuff I work on the most. So that's the stuff I was most comfortable with.
Yep.
So I didn't hit a 6-iron today, didn't hit a 4-iron today, didn't hit and I hit probably my 7-iron, 8-iron, 9-iron once or twice.
Yeah.
Maybe. Hit my 2-iron once, maybe twice. Everything else was either driver for, off the tee, of course.
Or wedges.
And maybe hit it 10 to 12 times, hit my driver. And everything else was that 46 and putter. Everything else. And everything else, like all my 9-iron to 2-iron, I hit once. Didn't even hit 5-iron or 4-iron.
That's it. And I'm not saying that if you are just limited to a driving range that you only have to practice like a full swing.
No.
There's nothing wrong with if you've like your Nick, for example, right? If he's had a lesson with Tim and they work on short game stuff like pitching, for example, hitting 60-meter pitch shots with a gap wedge or whatever it might be. He can go to a driving range.
Absolutely.
And he can spend his 40 balls that he's going to work on something and he can just hit his little pitch shot that he's been practicing.
If you've been working on 30, 40-meter pitch shots, 50-meter pitch shots, there's always a range that has something that's 40, 50 meters out there, whether it's a little cluster of balls that you're trying to land it on or
a bucket.
bin or a bucket or a bin or a clump of grass or something like that. trying to land it on that. There's nothing. Yeah, exactly right. That's actually the perfect way to put it. There's no
driving range.
There is no rule to say that you need to go stripe full swings with that.
Yeah.
At that driving range. And you shouldn't. It should be broken up into
but like
70,
we said,
30, I find.
You get invited by the paddock.
Of course.
And you see the back fence and it's got the 250-meter sign on it.
Go on.
And you just go, oh, loosen these shoulders up. Here we go. Didn't want to hit driver today, but we are now.
Bang, duck hook. Fuck.
Yeah, that's it.
And now you spent the next 20 minutes trying to pump driver straight.
Yeah, correct.
So, yeah,
the point
to sum up, it's just
practice smarter, not harder.
Yeah, and you don't need to figure it out by yourself. If you want to, well, great. Make it fun for yourself because that's what you sort of want out of it. That's what everyone wants out of it. But
best piece of advice I can give anybody when it comes to practicing: find a friend who wants to get just as good as you or just as good as you want to get as well.
Well, you've done that perfectly, which
With
is
Michael.
one Rimmy, you two kept it accountable. You've both kept yourselves accountable with what you're going to do and what you're going to work on and how you're going to improve. That's perfect. And yeah, Michael, at your home club, very similar schedule. You're working on similar things in theory. And yeah, you can both complement each other.
It's gotten to the point now where I'll ring Michael twice every week. I ring him on a Wednesday, right, on the drive home, and I go, we on tomorrow? And he goes, yep. I'm like, sweet, see you tomorrow. Hang the phone up. And then I'll ring him on the Thursday and be like, you on your way? Sweet, see you in half an hour.
Yeah,
Like,
see you in half hour.
That's it.
Yeah.
And we just, same 4 o'clock after work, straight at Heidelberg, get changed in the car, off we go.
Off you go. Go figure it out.
Go figure it out.
Yeah, go
bring my shag bag full of Pro V1s and just go chip and putt.
Beautiful. Perfect.
And then it was like, holes, sweet, jump in a cart, go play 7 holes.
Yeah, just go figure it out. Go figure out how to score.
Now that Daylight Savings has come in, he wants to play like a full-blown match play series and everything like that. So
I like it. Add a bit of competition.
And that's exactly right.
Basically, put your money where your mouth
Nick
is.
turns around and says that, chipping and putting is boring. All right, well, find a mate, play a game of up and downs.
Yeah.
You hit 3 balls from a spot, and if you make up and down, it's 2 points.
Play a game of horse.
Play a game of horse.
Yeah. Play to 11 or something.
We play a game called 21.
Yeah.
2 balls, right? Each person picks a flag.
Yeah.
You rotate picking flags, right? And you go, right, we're going to go to that flag over there. Sweet. Hit both your balls. The closest ball is 2 points. The second closest is 1 point. Everything else is nothing.
Yeah.
First to 21 wins.
Yeah. I like it. Cool.
And you can win.
If you're the 2 closest, you get 3 points?
100%.
Oh, I like that. It goes.
We have
it
had
proves
some
consistency.
games, like absolute games of 21, me and Michael.
Yeah.
Like the most recent one, I think I was up like 15-9.
But how good
15-9 and he beat me.
Oh, but how good does the chipping get?
Oh, so good.
It dials you in, and it's like it's even today. I introduced something to you and David called the train game, and I reckon a lot of people have probably heard about this. And there's a few YouTubers that do play this game, and I used to play this with a couple of lads at Huntingdale as well. And during state squats and stuff, would go out and practice and play this game. I'll just ramble it off real quick. Make this of what you will. It's simple. We did this relative to handicap.
Yep.
We usually did it off the stick, but it's relative to handicap. If you made a par, you're now on the train. If you make another par, that's a point. For every par after that is 1 point. If you make a birdie, it's 2 points. Eagle is 4. If you're on the train and you make a bogey, you're now in the hot seat. So you don't earn a point out of that bogey, it's nothing. If you make another bogey, so 2 consecutive bogeys, you're off the train.
And you got to make a par to get back on the train.
Correct. And if you go bogey, you keep your points, you're off the train. If you make a par, you now have to make a second par to then gain another point.
Yeah.
You can only make points when you're on the train.
Correct.
If you make bogey, you're off the train. If you make a birdie, you get those 2 points and you're instantly back on. So it skips those 2 pars.
Yeah.
If you make a double or worse, net double or worse, you lose everything. So I
Lose your score.
What's that?
You lose your score.
You lose your score. So
It happened to me and you today.
Correct. I think I was like even par through 11 holes or something like that. I only had maybe 6 or 7 points. I had a couple pars in a row. Like I had a big 4-5 streak, 6 streak maybe. So I'm like, okay, cool. I'm cruising. I only need a couple birdies here and there. And then I made a blemish on 12, doubled 12, lost all my points.
Yeah.
And then it was really, really hard for me to catch back up then.
Especially when you say the lowest amount of points is going to buy first round of beers.
Correct.
Right? Which is, and one of the boys we played with today, David, had 17 points.
He had 17 points on
which
the
is
train
almost
game,
a point
which
a
is
hole.
Unbelievable.
Right?
Which was...
And, if he pars the first hole to get on the train, he scored a point every hole after that.
Pretty much. He did.
Which is awesome. He had 39 points, so that helps.
He made a net bogey 3 times, which put him in the hot seat, but he followed it up with a par each time. So it sort of saved him. So he missed about 2 or 3 holes, but he also birdied 17 with a shot, so that's net eagle, technically. So that was crazy, but he smoked us, man. He absolutely smoked us for that training game.
Yeah.
But it's those sort of things, like you explained, it's those sort of games and things that you can implement with mates and stuff like that that just keep you dialed in. Even during a practice session, it puts that competition aspect to it if you're wanting to improve. It shows you how to score. It means that if you do happen to fuck up a hole, like you do make a double or a couple bogeys in a row, that it's not the end of your round.
Yeah,
You know what
absolutely.
I mean? It keeps you involved. And I reckon that helped with you.
It 100% does. But there's also, I'll finish by saying this. There's every time, or there's a number of times rather, where Mitch is a fiend for it as well. He wants to turn everything into a comp, right? When he practices with us, everything's a comp, right? And there are some weeks where I'm like, yeah, all right, no worries, we'll play a match, no dramas. And then I'm not enjoying what I'm there for.
Yeah.
So like we're practicing and that's fine, but we're also trying to be competitive and play a match against each other. And 2 holes in, I'll be like, hey, scrap your match. I'm not interested. I'm here to practice.
Yeah.
I don't want to compete.
You're here to figure it out.
I'm here to figure it out.
Yeah.
So yes, it's cool to compete when things are going well and you want to, but if you don't want to, if you just want to knuckle down and practice, there's nothing wrong with that either.
I like it.
There you go. A little
like
bit
it.
of a summary about a couple of different techniques and a couple of different strategies on how to get the best out of your practice.
Later on in a few episodes or something like that, or we do a video in the next couple months or so, I'll go through my practice routine. I'll go through what I do during a session.
Yep.
Right. Hopefully people can get something out of that, which is awesome. So
and let us know if there's anything else you want us to tackle away.
Yeah.
There's been a few suggestions already from a couple of people, so thank you for those. But yeah, we're going to slowly tick away at a couple of those and sort of our opinions on how to get the best out of certain aspects of the game.
100%.
Questions from the second cut.
Yeah.
Do you want to go first or do you want me to?
Sure. No, I'll go first.
Sweet.
This relates to us both, actually.
Okay.
This directly relates to us both, and not particularly, but based on just 2 separate events that happened today.
Okay.
So your 6th hole and my 12th.
Yep.
Right. So yeah, I don't have to explain the hole in detail, but there was 2 silver birds.
Yep.
Right, and not an outburst, but an act of frustration from the both of us. So we'll relate to this. So if your comp or tournament partner or whatever you want to be or whoever you're playing around with is having a bad round or has a bad hole, results in a club throw, loud swearing, carrying on, whatever it may be, and it's very distracting within reason. It depends who you are. But very distracting behavior, loud and blah, 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 blah. What do you do to ignore it? Or what do you do to make sure don't involve yourself with it? Or how do you distract yourself from whatever outburst they're having?
Well, to avoid like any sort of confrontations, because, you could have come up to me and been like, oi, pull your fucking head in today. And I could have done the same to you.
Yeah, of course.
But you just go, the first thing for me I do is I go, right, you've been in those shoes before. No one's come to you and told you to pull your head in, right? Let them have it for a little bit. And if it gets any longer, then we might have to say something.
Yeah.
Right? It's all within reason, like you said.
Of course.
One club throw, one swear, one scream, whatever it might be, right? As long as they do it once and that's it, and then they do the rest of it on their own in their own space and time,
Yeah.
that's fine.
Yeah.
Got no issues.
Yeah. It's when it becomes distracting.
When it becomes distracting, then it might be a case of you're just going to have to go, right, he's having a stinker, just ignore it.
Yeah.
Give him some time and space. Like maybe I won't speak to him for a couple of holes.
Give him 60 seconds or something.
Well, yeah, even as long as a couple of holes. I've had to do it in times where blokes have had stinkers, and I've just gone, right, you're on a different warpath today. I'm going to leave you alone, and then I'll let you come to me.
Yeah.
And then I'll walk 50 meters ahead of them in the group, and I'll just become really antisocial in that sense. But then once they figure out that we're intentionally not
makes them
hanging
feel a bit
around,
stupid.
makes them feel a bit stupid.
Yeah.
And people have done that to me too.
Yeah. So I find facts. Yeah.
People have done that to me too. Which
I find my strategy is not related to you or anything like that. It's just an example. But on 6, for example, like you're obviously talking to yourself, really. You're sort of just expressing emotion and frustration and stuff like that. There was the silver bird, and I try and if you're saying like, oh fuck these clubs or something like that, I try and reassure it. like I say to you, I'm like, yeah, you're right. You're right. They're not really working for you.
You just don't want to get on their bad side.
Of correct. You know, I don't want to say to you, mate, there's nothing wrong with the fucking clubs. You're the issue. You're hitting it like shit, because straight away you could like, you know what? You're fucking like, you know what? It could just
Who the
like
fuck do you think you are?
Exactly. Shut up, you dickhead. What do you know? Like stuff like that. And so that's why I said to you.
It also depends on who you're playing with.
Correct.
If I was carrying on like a twit with 3 blokes I'd never played with before, and they go, "Hey, can you not?"
Yeah.
I'm like, straight away, I'm snapped out of it.
Yeah.
Sorry, fellas.
Sorry, mate.
Like,
I may look like an
I
idiot.
may look like a twat.
Yeah.
You know, my bad. Hold my hands up.
Yeah.
But if I'm playing with you, Michael, and Mitch, and I'm carrying on, I'm half expecting you guys to be like, fucking this dickhead.
Yeah.
Come on,
we
just
almost
laugh
start laughing.
Yeah, start laughing at me. And then
yeah.
as soon as you start laughing, I'm like, yeah, I'm being a dick.
Yeah, I'm being a dick.
Move
yeah.
on.
That was like I on 12. Like I plugged in the bunker after hitting a skunky third shot. I actually thought I clipped it all right, but I left it way short. Anyway. And then I've like tried to like dump it out of the bunker, and then I rolled up the face. I'm like, nah, I'm not rolling back. So I just tried to hit it again. And I fucking sailed over the green into the shit. I'm like, oh fuck. Right. And I was frustrated because I'm like, fuck, I just made birdie on 11. I was trying to get a real good run here.
Yeah.
Right. And I fucked it up anyway. So I've pegged the club at the bag and then started raking the bunker. I don't really think I said anything out loud. I don't think I said anything, but I was frustrated internally. And then I stayed as quiet as I could until you guys finished out the hole. And then I give myself that 30 seconds to boil over. And then that's when I'm like, righto, don't be frustrated this whole time. You're going to look like a fuckwit. Then I go, righto, how'd you go?
Yeah.
Like you come off the green, right, how'd you go? What'd you have? What'd you have, Dave? Did you make par?
Yeah.
Like it's just like a weird conscious effort to like, okay, don't look like an idiot. Because I've been there before where I've had the club throw or had the tantrum or screamed out loud, yelled fuck or something like that. And then you see that guy sort of look at you with the side eye going, is this guy for real? And then it makes me feel so shit, honestly, to carry on.
Again, it depends on who you're playing with.
Of course.
I've done it plenty of times with my mates, with people I've not played with before. And hey, that's just part of it. I'm sorry.
I feel like the best thing is if you do
nothing I've done on the golf course is the worst thing I've seen on the golf course.
Oh, 100%.
Right.
Me too.
So as long as I can continue to say that, where it's like, all right, yeah, you acted like a twit, but it's still not the worst thing you've ever seen on the golf course.
Yeah.
I think I'm okay. And my outbursts come in short forms. 2 minutes at most.
Yeah.
I'm
true.
shitty.
You're right. Yeah,
right?
true.
And depending on what it is, like that's as long as it lasts.
Yeah.
All right. But I also feel like, it's that short-lived.
Everyone's human.
Everyone's human.
Like you gotta if there's a lot of people that say oh, on TV or something, and you see these pros, they hit a poor shot or something like that, and they just have deadpan face. It's like, yeah, that's true. They do. And if you watch myself play a tournament, I might hit a shitty shot, and like on the outside, I'm like, righto, well, get on with it. But internally, I'm like, you motherfucker. Like internally, I'm pretty frustrated, and can be, and it does boil over. But even the pros, mate, even the pros, they have their outbursts. You see plenty of them breaking clubs. You see plenty of them screaming fuck, and like you just don't see it on the highlight reel.
Yeah, bring it back.
Right.
Let it show it. Show the tantrums.
So basically, what I mean is by that question is to ask you, what do you do with it? It's just
you try and ignore it.
If you're frustrated,
try and ignore it as best you can.
If someone's having a tantrum or something like that, let them have their 30 seconds. And if they are being an idiot and distracting your group, just say, well, oi.
That's enough.
You're fine to be frustrated, but we're trying to play here. And 99 times out of 100, they will say, yep, no, my bad, sorry. And if they do fire up, punch them in the I mean, anyway.
No, look, there's so many avenues you can go down when it comes to that. But generally, if it does last 6, 7, 8, 9 holes, right, holes, where you're like, this bloke's been carrying on for the whole day, right? You just go, mate.
Just pull them up on it.
Are you sure you want to be here today?
Yeah, correct.
And as soon as you say that, they'll be like, oh fuck,
true,
fair enough.
True, yeah. And if you are that person like getting frustrated and stuff like that, have your 30 seconds, talk to yourself, literally talk to yourself. I do.
Calm yourself down and get on with it.
And then interact with your group members, because 9 times out of 10, they're not going to try and piss you off.
No.
They're going to be like trying to interact back with you to go, okay, make sure this guy's not going to lose his shit. So that's anyway, that's all that really meant.
All right.
Go for it.
Quickly, we'll wrap it up. Would you rather play at the same golf course every week, so Rosanna, right? Or play at a random golf course that you cannot choose, that is chosen for you, and you cannot play the same golf course twice.
Oh.
So every week you're either playing at Rosanna or a random golf course. Course, not club, course. So 1 week you might be at Ivanhoe. That's your Saturday round. 1 week you might be at Royal Melbourne. 1 week you might be at Moonalinks. The next week you might be at Bundoora.
Week after that, Kingston Heath. Week after that,
It could be anywhere.
Week after that.
You might get 3 weeks in a row where you just go, right, you're playing at Moorack, Bundoora and Ivanhoe. And then you get a little Christmas present and get to play at Royal Melbourne.
Oh. I'm trying to juggle up. Is it worth it? Because how many
fees.
Yeah, no, not fees, but how many good places are there in comparison to, I'm not going to say bad, but
Less good.
less good. Like, is there more bad than good, or is there more less fortunate than fortunate? Like, I'm trying to weigh up.
My opinion would be that there probably is your lesser good golf courses out there, more of them, than your top 30.
Fortunate, yeah. But like, oh yeah, you fuck. That's actually a good one.
Thank you, Short Game Michael, for this question, by the way.
That's a perler because, like, Rosanna, or in your case Heidelberg, that would probably be like dead smack in the middle. It's significantly better than your bottom sort of percent of those public courses that just have that public tread and simple layout, but they're not at the standard of those sandbelts sort of thing.
See, the thing, I chose to play at Heidelberg every week because I've basically done it. I don't very often venture out to other golf courses.
No, see, in my position now, I'd probably for the career plan, but in particular,
Go different.
I would go different random courses because then it can actually playing different courses actually proves to yourself what type of golfer you are.
Yeah.
If you can adapt and be better at somewhere else. So I'm gonna go on random course just purely because it might make me better, and it's gonna actually make me think, okay, am I actually decent at this sport, trying to play somewhere else, or am I just sort of faking it around? Sort of thing?
Fair enough. Well, I said I'd play every week at Heidelberg because
you do.
I do, and also like imagine like you get a. I don't know. I asked him, I was like, how do you find out what golf course you're playing? It's like, just imagine you get like an email the day before, right? So imagine you get an email and you go, fuck, we're playing Royal Melbourne this week.
Pisser.
Right? Pisser. But then you have a stinker and you never play that golf course again.
Oh, nah. In my case, nah. It would be a different mindset.
I know.
I'd pull up to...
But I'm not saying that would be my mindset. It'd be like, you'd pull up to Royal Melbourne and have you around, but then you just say you chop it up.
Yeah.
And you drive it home going, oh, gee, I'd love to play that place again. I'd have a better crack at it.
Yeah.
Nah. Can't do it. One and done.
Nah, it would be random.
Yeah, fair enough.
It'd be random.
Well done.
It'd be random.
That's it.
Nah, go on.
A very good one. I think it's
a
perfect spot to leave it, mate. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, very much for watching and listening. Be sure to like and subscribe on the YouTube. Follow us on Spotify, Instagram, and TikTok. Check out our socials as well. Keep an eye on everything because we have got plenty more episodes coming up. We've got some guests lined up as well.
Hopefully when you're listening next, you have your fresh medal.
I know. I can't wait. Hopefully. And yeah, we're going to have to do a bit of an update when they come in, and I'll be very, very happy and very, very poor.
Yeah.
But yeah, thanks, ladies and gents. We look forward to speaking to you very, very soon. Hit them very, very well, and we'll see you next week. Cheers.